Now, global crackdown on Chinese app TikTok continues. After the US and the UK, New Zealand becomes the latest nation to ban TikTok app from the government devices with immediate effect. Now, the ban on the app will start from March 31st in New Zealand, and the United States has raised a fresh alarm over the Chinese app, saying it poses threat to its national security.
So, look, we've expressed concerns over China's potential use of software platforms that could endanger or threaten America's safety and their national security. So that is the president's concern. That is why we have called on Congress to take action. We see a bipartisan piece of legislation that you know that we are supporting. It's called the Restrict Act, as you all know and been covering. And so that's the president's main priority, to make sure when it comes to their safety, when it comes to their security, when it comes to our national security, that those things are protected. And so that has been the president's focus over the last couple of years.
All right, at this point of time, I have been joined by a panel of guests to talk us more on this. Mr. Kanishk Gaur is a cybersecurity expert, is joining us. Andrew K. Leung is a China expert, and Chris Tokel-Walker, author, TikTok Boom, is joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for being with us on Mirror Now. And I start my first question with the Kanishk Gaur there, the cybersecurity expert. Mr. Gaur, how do you look into this matter when the UK, the US, and now the New Zealand is building its crackdown on Chinese apps, and especially now in limelight is TikTok?
Thanks, Priyanka. This is a welcome move. If you look at, India was the first country which banned TikTok, and that has been replicated by global powers. Some of the key security concerns with TikTok is, even if you download the app and you're not using it, data starts moving out from your mobile phone, even when you're not trying to use any kind of functionalities of TikTok. So you will be losing a lot of data. You don't know where this data is heading out. So those are some of the big security concerns with TikTok. Today, we have seen that what India started is being replicated by the world. So it is not only a issue with TikTok for government or defense professionals, but for everybody. For safeguarding privacy of citizens, I think apps like TikTok need to either build better systems or need to come out more responsibly. One of the biggest issues with TikTok today is the movement of data, and they have not been able to give valid answers stating why this is happening. And I think this is only going to increase further. We are seeing New Zealand, we have seen UK. We will also see other countries following this. So I would see a global crackdown on TikTok as we move forward.
Right, Kanishk, stay on with us. I go across to Mr. Andrew, who is a China expert. Mr. Andrew, at this point of time, how do you also react to the constant crackdown that is taking place on Chinese apps? It was previously in India that had posed a ban on TikTok, and 300 other Chinese applications, citing a national security threat.
To the United States on China. The other thing is national security. I mean, you trade and technology, and now TikTok, which has been very, very popular with the young people, because all they do is that social media, featuring funny things, happening on various daily lives. But anyway, the nature of the internet is such that if you Google something, then Google, of course, can store your data. And if you send emails to others, and your data could well be stored. I mean, that's the nature of things. And if you distrust something, then as the China saying goes, every curved shadow looks like a snake. But anyway, the fact remains that all these countries which are banning TikTok for government employees are largely the Five Eyes Alliance, together with India and also the European Union, the so-called anti-China democratic alliance, as it were. But the rest of the world, the developing world especially, which is said to account for more than 61% of the world economy by the year 2035, using purchasing power parity measures. I mean, they love TikTok. Many countries love TikTok. I mean, the young people. Now, the TikTok has proposed storing the data within the United States, if that's the worry. But then the United States would have nothing of it, because another fear is that the TikTok, what's circulating in addition to this social media and things like that, commentaries by their citizens, a more balanced view of the world, rather than the kind of one-sided American hegemonic kind of interpretation. And I don't think the United States likes that. And part of the reason for banning TikTok is not just for national security, is to stop the circulation of a kind of more balanced kind of rhetoric against what's now being pushed by the United States, so-called, to further its own or to prolong its own hegemony.
All right, Mr. Andrew, stay on with us. I go across to Mr. Chris Walker, who is joining us as well. Mr. Chris, what do you think? Why is TikTok's security risk keeps rising amongst the nations, and what could be the reason why major countries are now banning TikTok? We are of course seeing that China's relation with the West is not very well.
Yeah, that's why. Because in the last month, China flew a spy balloon over North America. And it's interesting to hear both sides of the debate so far in this. And both have kind of been on each side deliberately, I suppose, because they have vested interests, and they have very much personal viewpoints. Obviously, in India, TikTok is a very, very sensitive app because of the ban in June 2020 over the geopolitical issues around the border, and that's well within India's right to ban that for geopolitics. It was very, very clear that you banned it for geopolitics for that reason. What we're seeing in the last month is kind of people in Western nations in particular deciding that they're going to ban it because of geopolitical reasons, because of the fact that the spy balloon flew over North America, because of the fact that we're seeing Xi Jinping travelling to Moscow, which was announced this week, and we've seen him starting to get involved on the wrong side of history in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And I think we're starting to see TikTok being banned because of those geopolitical concerns amongst government devices. We want to look strong against China, and we think that this is a relatively easy win to do that, but it's being given as a reason that we're banning it because of national security risks. Now, no credible independent cybersecurity researcher has found issues with TikTok that don't exist on any other platform. We do give all of our information over to social media, which is an issue. That is kind of where we're at, and TikTok is trying to limit those fears by doing various things in terms of where it handles its data. It certainly wasn't as good as it is now in terms of handling its data, but it has got an awful lot better over the last few years.
All right, I'll quickly come back to our guests for their closing remarks, but first let's listen in to what the Prime Minister of New Zealand had to say on this.
Our system works slightly differently to other countries. Departments and agencies follow the advice take advice from the GCSB in terms of their IT and their cybersecurity policies, and we don't have a blanket across the public sector approach to this, which happens in other areas. And so I'd expect that departments and agencies, including the Parliament, would consider the advice of the GCSB in making those decisions. No. I'm not that hip and trendy.
All right, Mr. Kanishk, I come to you. We'll have a quick closing comment from our panel there. What do you think should be the next step as, the countries are now cracking down on TikTok? How do you think now ByteDance should respond to what is being expected from it by the US?
ByteDance needs to come out with better policies in terms of how they safeguard user privacy and data protection. They also need to come out how they are looking at complying with laws of different countries where objections have been raised against TikTok. There are other Chinese apps as well, which are doing extremely well, and they have not been banned. If you look at a company called as Zoom, which everybody uses today, there are not many questions asked on Zoom. But we look at, there are larger concerns with TikTok and with the parent with ByteDance. So it is just not geopolitics. There is obviously some meat behind this entire deliberation which is going on globally. So TikTok needs to look at how it can comply with laws and regulations and come out more clearly in terms of how it safeguards user privacy and data concerns. It also needs to have better relationship with countries where concerns have been raised. We have seen blankly denying, saying that there is nothing wrong, it is geopolitics, or people are doing because people want to target China. Mind you, People's Liberation Army or CCP is government. There are a large number of Chinese companies which operate globally, like Alibaba. They don't face so much of heat. Then why TikTok? Let's not mix TikTok with CCP. CCP is government and TikTok is a private enterprise. And they need to come forward and come out clean on some of these questions which have been asked.
All right, Mr. Kanishk, thank you for being with us. And I go across to Mr. Andrew there. Mr. Andrew, what do you think will be now China's reaction because of this retaliation coming out from the world? Because, of course, right, we just spoke about it, that the ties between China and the other nations are not very well.
I think that both TikTok and its parent company, BitDance, know that TikTok has been extremely popular, not by those countries which are banning it, but by the entire world, the younger generation. So I don't think that TikTok is extremely worried about this. This is a part of the reality of geopolitics and anti-China kind of pushback. But I agree that, of course, TikTok can do more to assure certain nations that there are measures put in hand. And in fact, the ByteDance has already highlighted some of those measures. But the fact remains, as I said earlier, it's not just the security concerns, it's also the possibility that TikTok is now being used as a channel by more evenly minded people, their own citizens and Americans, Australians, and or even Indians and Canadians who have a different view of what the United States pushback against China, the kind of hegemonic kind of attitude towards other countries. And I think the United States doesn't seem to like that. And that's another reason why they want to ban TikTok. But I don't think that it's going to change the game because, as I said, almost the large part of the world love TikTok. And just a social media. So what TikTok needs to do is just put in certain measures to assure those people with their doubts.
Right, Mr. Chris Walker, my final question to you. What do you think, how will the youth react to it? Because TikTok specifically is very famous amongst the youth. The people of the world are all coming together in order to post their reels on TikTok. And TikTok has gained so much, it has become so famous among the people there. How do you think the ban will affect the youth, the people there?
Won't affect individual users, particularly in the UK, in Canada, in New Zealand, or anything like that, because it is only a government-based device ban. So far we're seeing, frankly, middle-aged men and women who are not allowed to use TikTok, and their politicians who ordinarily don't know how to use it properly anyway. So it is going to be relatively limited. I think we have to watch in the coming weeks and months the United States, which is kind of furthest along on that journey that India had in terms of banning the app outright for all users. It will be fascinating to see whether or not the US actually tries to ban TikTok. It has 100 million users in the United States, many of whom are very, very happy with the app and they enjoy it and they see it as a place of free expression for them. I think that we'll probably see some sort of legal challenge to that from TikTok in the same way that we did when the Trump administration tried to ban it just after India did. So I don't think that this is kind of the death knell for TikTok. I think that it's ultimately a very, very small proportion of their users that would use this in a political sense, and they wouldn't necessarily be hugely missed because they already kind of stand out a little bit on TikTok as not really belonging in the first place.
All right, it is to be seen. We have to wait and watch what comes next step in terms of the global crackdown on the Chinese application TikTok. On that note, I will take the opportunity to thank our guests for joining us, Mr. Kanish Gaur, Mr. Andrew KP, and Mr. Chris Walker for being with us and taking out their time and speaking us on the TikTok ban. At this point of time,